meeting with the government on this APC, and there should be a two-part agenda. Number one, that whether the resolutions of the Parliament are going to be implemented or not, against which were two resolutions passed in 2010, 2011 against these drone attacks. And what we saw was that next day after these resolutions, there were drone attacks.
More drone attacks, yep.
And number two, which I said, that at least when we are getting together and trying to evolve a consensus, then we should at least discuss reviewing the strategy against this war against terror. Whether we are doing the right thing or we are doing the wrong thing. We have lost 35,000 lives, 5,000 army personnel have died in this, 80 billion loss in our economy. We were compensated by only 20-25 billion. And the rest, that terrorism has gone to our mosques, to our churches, to our imam bargas, to our streets. The problem in Balochistan, in NWFP, in Karachi. So I don't think just getting together over there for a photo session and then just one joint resolution is not going to make a difference. We are not going to declare a war against the US, but at least we should honorably decide, because, you know, let me just take 30 seconds more. That starting from Kerry-Lugar bill, and there were many apprehensions in Pakistan that there were people who were involved in putting such things in Kerry-Lugar bill, which were really to curb the Pakistan army. Similarly, after that, Raymond Davis happened. He went away from Pakistan without the passport. The of May incident in Ahmedabad, our sovereignty was totally demolished, and no APC was called, no consensus was evolved, nothing.
So Mr. Ijaz, I want you to stay with me, because this is an important point that I want to focus on further. Please stay with me. I just want to get Dr. Baloch into this discussion here as well, who joins me from Quetta. Dr. Baloch, these are interesting points that Mr. Ijaz has raised, where he is saying simply that we have had so many ups and downs with our relationship with the US, and in recent history, of course, the Raymond Davis affair, the Osama bin Laden killing, where American boots were on Pakistani territory. But every time those things have died down, what makes this incident, this current allegations being made by Admiral Mullen and Leon Panetta, so much more significant than what has been happening in the past?
Exactly. We have a very close relation with the USA from since from Liaquat Ali Khan, and we both, I mean, the Pakistani establishment and American establishment know each other very well, but there is some differences, especially on some points of war of terror. I think it's better for Pakistan to change its jihadi policy and its mindset and make a friendship with its neighbor, because Pakistan is not in position to go to cut all the relation with West, with America. They can't afford. Even our politicians know each other, but they are doing a wrong message to the masses that we are anti-American, but basically they are not anti-American. They are just playing with the wishes of the people.
Senator Abdul Malik Baloch, President, National Party, thank you so much for having taken time out and joined us today for this rather important discussion that we were having. I would request Mr. Ijaz to stay on the line as we take a short commercial break and we return to this crucial question. What does Pakistan do next? Please stay right here on Witness. And welcome back to Witness. With me on the telephone, of course, is Mr. Ijaz ul Haq. He is from his own faction of the PML. Mr. Haq, welcome back to the program. Before the break, you made some very important points. And one of those points I'd like to raise with you again is that what do you think is different this time round that the government felt the need to call an APC that we didn't call on other serious crises that have occurred in recent months with the United States?
The government's decision is always belated and delayed. It was the corps commanders who, if you remember, they met on Sunday, especially because of the urgency, and then the message was conveyed to the government after that also. And although it is a good decision, but I think the opposition should have gone with a consensus, and at least they should have met before this meeting, which I suggested to PML-N and some of the other parties also, that you should get together evolve a consensus. If the government is willing to implement the decisions of Parliament which are pending from before, then I think they would be sincere in going forward. Just getting there and saying that, you know, we will do this, we are together, and then coming out of the session without any strategy, without any homework, it is not worth it.
It's not worth it, I agree with you. But one important thing over here, a difficult situation. If you remember the 2008 in-camera session after which a committee was formed to give the recommendations, it took them ages to hammer out a 14-point resolution. Given the disparate nature of the parties represented in today's APC, do you think that they will be able to hammer out any kind of consensus document?
Previously, I think there was a consensus document, and I think the issue is basically hitting the hearts of 180 million people of Pakistan. The politicians are now bound to give a decision which reflects the opinion of the people of Pakistan, and that is what the corps commanders did. They gave a direction, basically after that meeting, that you know, we are going to take a firm stand. But the thing is whether we are going to implement it or not. This is the issue today. And I think in the opposition there are so many parties with different views. I don't think they have a consensus. And this time around, it is going to be difficult for the government also. Not like the previous APC in which the 14-point agenda was finally declared and then sent to the dustbin.
Right, because that was more about terrorism as a whole. It wasn't about Pakistan's policy towards America. That's bound to be a contentious issue.
Yes. And this time around, it is going to be difficult to evolve a consensus. Okay, in one go that, you know, we are going to safeguard every inch of this country, and that everybody says so.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do regarding this war against terror? What is your policy? Who is going to make the decision? Who is going to be the decision makers regarding your foreign policy, regarding your security, regarding your defense, whether it is the parliament or it is going to come from somewhere else?
Okay, stay with me, Mr. Ijaz, because joining me now on the telephone is Senator Tariq Azeem of the Pakistan Muslim League. Senator, welcome to the program. Thank you so much for joining us today. This APC that's going on today, everybody is concerned that consensus might be very, very hard to reach given the divergence of opinions and views represented amongst the political leadership present there. What do you think should be the minimum goal of the government at this time?
Well, it would have been good to send it would be nice to send a good signal, especially to outside forces, you know, that people in Pakistan are united, especially on the political front. But the way this had been called hurriedly, it was forced upon us. It would have been nice, you know, if the parliament would have been called first, and there would have been a debate in the parliament, and everybody would have been chance to say their piece. And then depending on exactly what had gone on in Parliament, then their leaders would have then met, you know, would have been able to reach a consensus.
Senator, if I may interrupt you for a minute just here. One of the points, of course, is there are a lot of political leaders who are present today at today's APC whose parties or who themselves are not present in Parliament. I mean, we're talking about Pakistan Tariq Insaf, Imran Khan. We're talking about the Sunni Tehreek. We're talking about JamaateIslami, which is only in the Senate. So do you think that the APC could then lead for maybe a more widespread consensus when it goes to Parliament next week?
Quatrina, what I'm saying is that if the Parliament had met first and could have had a long discussion, could have lasted maybe a week, maybe days, and then when they would have gone into the APC, of course, these people who are not represented in the Parliament at present, they would have come in. But at least we would have had a long debate. Now, if you are going to have an APC lasting but 4 or 6 hours, and there are 63 or 64 people in there, I mean, you can imagine, you can't have you could develop a policy and, do something substantial there. Maybe we are putting too much hopes, on this APC. There are a lot of expectations are attached to it, which I'm afraid are going to be dashed, once you get the final declaration. There will be a lot of rhetoric. There will be a lot of well-worded statements made by people. But unfortunately, whether they're going to be able to implement it, is the question. And one more thing, one more thing, and may I just add, the person who matters most, that's the President Zardari. He is the key man. He is the key player who is not in this match. And, he's the one who is going to be deciding events. Instead, he's meeting Sania Mirza and Shoaib Malik. That doesn't send the right signal. He should have been there. He's the constitutional head of the country. At the same time, he's the supreme commander of the armed forces. So he's got this role, also being the co-chairman of the party. He should have been there. Okay. At least he would have had first-hand information of what has been said. Yes, yes.
All right. Senator Tariq, stay with me. I want to bring Mr. Ijaz into this conversation because this is such an important point that you've raised, that the expectations, Mr. Ijaz, are very high from this APC. I do find myself agreeing with Senator Tariq Azeem that any agreement that comes out is either going to be unrealistic and not achievable, or so watered down that it won't matter. Do you think that, I just don't see how they're going to get consensus amongst groups which are violently opposed to the United States as well as the mainstream political parties? What do you think the government should try and push for?
I think the only answer is what Tariq Azeem was saying. Senator Tariq Azeem was saying that it should have gone to the parliament and let the parliament decide. But again, built a consensus initially about the parliament's supremacy. Whether the resolutions passed by the parliament previously, are they going to be implemented or not? And also, what is our objective basically regarding the war against terror? At least we should review the strategy. If we can evolve a consensus, if it is our war, if it is not our war, if it is our war, then evolve a strategy to fight the war. If we are going to be reluctant, if we are going to be getting the blame also and losing money, losing lives, the country gone to terror completely. See, the US is putting the pressure. I don't know who's behind this. Maybe there were some rumors that, in the Kerry Lugar bill, there were people involved. I don't want to name anybody, but they told the US how to control Pakistan army. Now they're trying to push the army into North Waziristan. There are 130,000 men, NATO forces in Afghanistan.
Right.
There are about 33 countries represented over there. They have not been able to control the situation. It is the longest war, more than the First World War, Second World War. But again, US is finding an exit strategy from Afghanistan. They are talking to Taliban through Germany, in Germany, in Doha, in Dubai.
Right.
Saudi has been involved in talking to the Taliban. So when it comes to Pakistan, they just want us to do more without any involvement of Pakistan's strategy into their long-term programming.
I totally agree with you there. I mean, there is this general consensus that Pakistan should act in its own national interest. But Senator Tariq Azeem and Mr. Ijaz, I want you both to respond to this key question. My concern now remains is that Pakistan's decision on what they want to do about the Haqqani network is becoming a situation of damned if you do and damned if you don't. Because if Pakistan decides to go after the Haqqani network, it will be perceived as being under US pressure. And if they don't, it's just, Admiral Mike Mullen, I think, has just created a crisis for the political leadership and the military leadership by painting them into the corner. Is there any retreat from this, Senator Tariq Azeem?
I think Mike Mullen, because he's retiring, probably he has been given a job to do before he leaves. I believe personally that maybe President Obama and the Pentagon, they are not on the same page. President Obama has his own political compulsions. The re-elect campaign is going to start in maybe another 3-4 months' time. He is committed to withdrawing the forces from Afghanistan. He wants to go out on the high, claiming that a victory in Afghanistan. That has been the American people have been fed on this. That we are winning. Petros has got his own ambitions. He feels that he has been victorious and he wants to go out as a victorious general from Afghanistan as well. So, there's a lot more than, there than meets the eye. I feel that, obviously we do not want any confrontation with the United States. We have had very good relationship with the United States. We had our ups and downs. We had our love and hate relationship. But nevertheless, we still want to have working relationship with all countries, including the United States and Afghanistan and India. But the problem is...
Okay, Senator, Senator, I want you to comment on this one point. All day today and yesterday, people have been asking me, just regular people on the street, are we going to go to war with the United States? And I keep telling everybody, no chance. That's not going to happen. But one of the fears, of course, academically, history tells us that Vietnam ended up with Cambodia as a sideshow. Do you fear that Pakistan could end up as